Halo Campaign Evolved is a 6 out of 10, guys. For $70, here's what you get. The least optimized version of a game for the maximum price they can possibly charge. And while I do have a lot to say about my first impressions so far, I can encapsulate the whole video for you with a couple of points. One, it's like getting a massage only to realize that the masseuse is going to do nothing but use her elbows for the entire session. And two, the more recently you have played the original, the less necessary this game becomes at the price that they're asking. Yeah, the bonus missions and all the bells and whistles are pretty fun, but we'll get to that. Firstly, the performance. I have a Ryzen 7 800X 3D and an RTX 4070 Super, and it ran fine for me with a few tweaks. On high preset, I capped the frames at 120 FPS, but sometimes there were massive stutters that almost buckled my rig unconscious. I thought I was going to wake up on a wagon on my way to Helgen, so I dropped it down to medium and it was buttery smooth. This was on 1440p resolution, by the way, and while I normally wouldn't drop to an across-the-board medium setting, I draw the line when looking at a frickin' slideshow. The cinematics capped at 30 FPS that caused me some ghosting, smearing and tearing effects on my rig, but I'm sure it's probably better on console. Something that never ceased to amaze me was the clarity in which Master Chief's voice comes through it. I found it completely jarring because it sounds like his helmet is off at all times.
I understand.
Unreal Engine 5 really does sell the aesthetics here, and the perspective of the general horizons as well as the details up close, it is a wondrous thing to behold. Wandering up to trees and expecting the branches to bear 2D leaves left me pleasantly surprised, as did the flaming wreck and even fire behaviour in general, not just leaving one ever-burning trail, but some movement was there with the combustion. I couldn't decide if the fire colouring was beautifully striking or just stuck out like a sore thumb. Perhaps it was a design choice to help centralise catastrophe. You can decide for yourself. Movement and gunplay feels pretty solid to me, as did the Anniversary Edition, to be fair, but unless my mind is playing tricks on me, the pinnacle weapon of this game, the assault rifle, feels as good as ever, if not better. For me, this was always the reason to return to Halo anyway, and it did not disappoint. Only equal to the goofy Warthog, which, when you are completely stationary, by the way, turn left and the front wheels will turn right. The back, vice versa. Look, the amount of laughter I've had with this vehicle on multiplayer has paid for the other games many times over. But if you are embarking on a solo campaign like I did so far, the AI, they just don't know what the fuck they're doing. If you decide you're going to take over the gunner seat, NPC moves to the front passenger side. If you go back to driving the Warthog, you would then expect that NPC to go to the gunner, right? He doesn't, so you have to kick him out of his navigational seat and hope he'll go back. And even that was a little clunky at times, but if you stay completely stationary, it will eventually work. Maybe. While we're talking about the Warthog, or any vehicle for that matter, it gave me more joy than it should to just ram enemies and hear their screams as they fly toward the camera. Enemy mob pathing is mostly pretty good. They will try and converge on your position, but occasionally they will get completely stuck and you will have to use the little radar to go and finish them off. Other times they will get totally confused and have no idea how to proceed to your position, and yes, this raging brute would normally just jump on my head, so this rock, that shouldn't deter that one bit. Something that I think is really good about this game is the dodging of the enemies, but I also felt like a complete pillock when trying to hit one square in the chest with a rocket launcher, only for them to metamorphose into Neo and perfect dodge my heavy weaponry like it's nothing. Of course, I could have shot it at their feet, but that would require some foresight, which I lack. Now, the music score is a complete joke at times, with the battle music sounding like a high school composition that was played live in class using one of those old Casio keyboards with multi-track recording features on them. For a remake, I would have expected more than just this bare score getting remastered. However, it is not all bad, and at times it ticks all the boxes in atmospheric sci-fi tense action where you've got percussive motor rhythms that can underpin the action more than a Hans Zimmer wannabe ever could. But overall, this needed a complete revamp to match the immersion of the graphical experience in front of us. Something that was a big win for me was the bonus missions. You had Johnson guiding the action. It is pretty funny because he doesn't have the armor that you do, and he's like a goddamn Terminator in terms of the damage he can soak up.
Damn right I am.
Things that would one-shot you, they don't even constitute a flesh wound to him, but the presence of Johnson's character felt as good as it would if you were taking the drill sergeant from Starship Troopers into battle. There's extra weapons that have been added that will seem familiar from the later games in the franchise, and they add a welcome variety because I never enjoyed having to continually pick up the Needler but the Needler rifle and the battle rifle, the beam rifle, you know what, anything with the word rifle in it, it got a thumbs up from me. The energy sword cranks it up a notch when you're not getting absolutely swarmed by mobs and really packs a punch against the armored foes. Every weapon can now be aimed down sights, and while my middle-aged eyes welcome improved vision, the SMG feels a bit strange to ADS on, almost as if you're using the helmet's inbuilt binoculars. There are some absolutely bizarre moments in this game where you might be standing in the right place and nothing happens for ages, or Johnson screaming randomly. It just adds moments of sheer hilarity. Just want to quickly touch on the story and say how I think this still holds up fine by today's standards. You've got humanity on the brink of extinction, a super religious alliance of alien races gunning us all down while calling us blasphemers in the process. Then in comes Master Chief to save the day, but everything else that I've mentioned so far, I have to wonder, how does this hold up as a standalone experience if Halo never existed before today? Most people, they already know the franchise, but I'm concerned that a new player may not care for the way that the hit registers from the guns compared to modern day shooters, the wave after wave encounters, the sometimes awkward waiting times added. It might just be seen as dated trash. Same with, every jump is as if you're on the moon. I've got a pre-existing relationship with Halo, so it's easier to look on it fondly than how janky it might appear to a newcomer. Overall, I would say this is a decent experience. On normal difficulty, you'll find the campaign completely fine. The bonus missions, they are a little tougher, but still doable. I died a few times in some pretty dumb places, but I have been enjoying myself, even though these extra missions has Master Chief as Master Busboy, because the real hero is apparently Johnson.
Damn right I am.
Something to look out for when you're in the main campaign, and the bonus missions too actually, are picking up these skulls. They will give you creative modifiers to add to your next playthrough when you come back and go through it again. It's also going to add to your playtime while you're scouting the map looking for them. I'm perhaps in the minority here, but I prefer finding the skulls to actually using them, because it may be a while before I'm going to come back and play through this again, but it would tip the scales in favour of those who are down to sink some serious hours into the game. Other than that, what you're really getting is a PvE campaign that has been spruced up. If you're buying this just for the 3 missions, they are divided into sections, but you're still talking maybe an hour or 2 at the most. The main campaign will probably take someone who's pretty good at this game 7 to 8 hours. Someone like me, more like 10 to 12. So anyone that's bought this early gets 10 to 15 hours or so of gameplay, which makes the $70 for this early access or advanced access. Fuck a tad steep, old chap. Wait for the steepest sale you can possibly find, unless of course money is no object, in which case you don't need this video to tell you what to do. Take it easy, catch you on the next one. Later.